up, you guys? This is Rob from Guy Plays, and today on the Daily Grind, we're gonna have a bit of a chat about which Anthem Javelin is perfect for you. Now, one of the big reasons that I actually wanted to go ahead and cover this was because about a day or so ago, a graphic was released that actually gave us some information as to the different pilot level rewards. Now, if you guys are unfamiliar with the system, basically what happens is as your pilot levels up, you gain different perks. So you'll get new javelins, a weapon slot, you'll get basic component, you'll get consumable slots, so on and so forth. So what I actually went ahead and did was took a note of which levels we would get javelins at. So the first one is at level 2, which I'm assuming occurs like after the tutorial, so we get to pick one. Then we have to wait 10 levels to level 12 to go ahead and get our second one. After that, it's 8 levels to get to level 20, and then another 8 levels to get to 28. So all of the javelin choices are pretty spread out. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to be very similar to how it is in Warframe, where we level up fairly quickly, or if it's going to be a bit slower, but I was made aware of the fact that they did say that in the demos you leveled up a little bit faster than you would actually level up in game. So for me, picking the right javelin is a big thing, especially because as I was playing all of the different javelins during the VIP demo, not the VIP demo, the public demo, I realized that the playstyles were very, very different. So I figured that we would go ahead and have a bit of a chat about each of the javelin's different playstyles. But we're gonna break it up a little bit differently. Instead of the standard, let's look at one javelin at a time. We're gonna talk about the different styles that you'll be able to engage in. So first and foremost, the big reason that I wanted to really go with the different styles was because of the fact that I realized that one of the reasons why I liked the javelins that I liked and why I'm choosing the javelins that I liked is because I really like to brawl. So as you guys know, if you've been playing this, I'm all about the interceptor life. So I love getting in there with melee weapons, I love shredding enemies, I love dropping all of the different kicks and kind of diving in from the sky into these kind of like aerial melee attacks and crashing down on my enemies. It's such a good, satisfying feeling when literally you do this jump attack and you just eliminate like a whole bunch of grunts at once. It's such a good feeling just getting in there and slicing and dicing. And the interceptor is great for that because they have high mobility and are able to kind of like pick certain targets to just knock out completely. Definitely a big fan of that. The next one that I really enjoyed was the Colossus. And again, it kind of took out this brawler style of play in me because I didn't love the Colossus until I realized that shield charging into enemies knocked them down and deal damage to them. So I was like, oh my god, I'm like this fucking freight train of death as I barrel into enemies and then kind of like, if you're still alive, nope, boom, shield bash, you're dead. So that was just an amazing feeling with the Colossus, and I realized it's not necessarily about, you know, what weapons I have on. It's about the fact that I can get into the mix of things and just start dealing damage. I love like the chaos that ensues from that. And the Colossus is really great at dealing a lot of damage up close and personal. So if you guys are into the brawler style of gameplay, definitely check out the Colossus, definitely check out the Interceptor. Interceptor if you want fast strikes, Colossus if you just like to dig in and just start smashing. Next up, we're going to have the complete opposite gameplay, which is going to be more focused on range damage. If you don't like the chaos, if you like to really be able to kind of like pick down your targets from afar, then definitely check out the Storm and the Ranger. Now, the Storm is pretty much like, you know, not even a shock to most people. Storms are all about kind of getting yourself out of the mess of battle and really laying down a whole bunch of different elemental abilities to clear out crowds. Storms are great from being able to get like a high vantage point and being able to take a look at the entire battlefield to kind of like say, all right, well, we need to clear out this group of enemies here, or we need to clear out this group of enemies here. They're great for comboing, and because of the fact that they have bonuses to their shields while they're flying, they are encouraged to kind of like fly. They can also set down their wind walls to kind of block enemy projectiles. So they're really great for not necessarily being in the midst of battle, but still being able to chunk out a lot of damage. Now, speaking of chunking out a lot of damage, we have the Ranger. While the Ranger isn't necessarily specifically just made for ranged gameplay, they do have some really great abilities that synergize with it. So one of it is going to be Bulwark Point. So Bulwark Point is kind of similar to the Wind Wall that the Storm has, but instead it's a dome. So what you can actually do is if you want to kind of create like a little bit of a rally point where your allies can sit in and start like pumping out abilities on enemies or just using their guns to kind of like take enemies down from range, that's definitely going to be a great option for you. But they also have muster point. So muster point increases the amount of damage that your guns do. So if you're not really feeling ability heavy, but you really want to shoot enemies down from afar, then you're going to want to go ahead and pick up the Ranger. In addition to that, the Ranger has a lot of ranged abilities like grenades, rockets, and they even have a really cool like spark laser beam that everybody who loves Iron Man is all about. So definitely check out the Ranger if you want ranged damage. Same goes for the Storm. Moving along, we have some people that don't really care as much about whether they're doing range damage or whether they're doing like up close and personal damage, but they like to move. So if you are a mobile player, well, of course, we're going to have the king and queen of mobility, the Interceptor. With the Interceptor, you get triple jumps, you get lots of dashes. The evade on them has like a really weird 3-step progression, like it's a like dash that kind of turns into like a mini dive, and then there's a little pump at the end. So you get a lot of mobility when it comes to Interceptors. You can get in and out of situations very quickly, which I find to be handy when you need to debuff an enemy, because the Interceptors have a lot of toxic abilities or a lot of acid abilities to kind of like weaken enemies, and you can also toss out like your targeting reticule thing that weakens enemies at the same time. So they're really great for like calling out, let's take down this enemy, I'm gonna double debuff them, but I'm gonna get my ass out before I die. So they are absolutely fantastic for mobility. And also a great thing about Interceptors is if you get a little too mobile and then you find that you're on fire or something, they do have Rallying Cry, which can get rid of all status effects on them, so they can just keep moving and keep going. Or if you've got it up, you can go ahead and use your ultimate, become invincible, and start slicing and dicing enemies. Then as it slowly starts to tick down, you just get your ass out of there. So very, very great mobility when it comes to the Interceptor. Gonna be the absolute royalty of that when it comes to the game. However, the one that I do want to point out is the Ranger. Now, when I had been playing the Interceptor, I'd been playing the Colossus. Those were the two ones that I really focused on. Then I was like, you know what, let's figure out this Ranger life. Let's see how it goes. So I went ahead and picked up the Ranger, and the first thing that I said was like, oh, he's kind of fast. Like, he can really move. While he doesn't necessarily have all of the mobility that an Interceptor does, if you really want to, like, you know, do a hit and run style for your character, the Ranger is going to be absolutely great for that. Their movement feels fantastic, and in fact, for those of you guys who didn't know, each of the different Javelins actually have a slightly different movement speed, different handling when it comes to flights and dodges and all of that kind of stuff. So just putting that out there, that if movement really means a big thing to you, definitely check out the Interceptor and the Ranger just because of their speed. And also the thing that I liked about the Ranger was because of the fact that you can literally hit and run enemies, and you can chunk them down with the combo bursts that you can do, because as you guys know, with the Ranger you can deal bonus damage to anything you trigger a combo on. So you can lay in, go ahead and do your combo damage, and get your ass out when it comes to taking down priority targets. So Ranger, absolutely great for mobility as well. Not saying that the Colossus and the Storm can't be mobile, I just felt like those specific classes were a little bit better at it. Now, speaking of the Colossus and the Storm, we're going to talk about high AoE damage. If you don't care about whether you're up close, if you don't care about whether you're far away, you don't care about movement, all you want to do is see the world burn. It is the Colossus and the Storm for you. Let me tell you, I have never seen so many combo all over my screen. Damage, 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 enemies dying on my screen than I did when I was playing the Storm and I was playing the Colossus. More so the Colossus because I was actually good at playing that one. The Storm, I was kind of booty at. But I've seen Storm players literally clear out really tough groupings of enemies. Like, we'll get a spawn and I'm like, oh my god, that spawn is a pain. I'll round the corner, I'll be like, oh, there's nothing there, because guess what? The Storm killed them all. Now, the thing with Storms is you can get that high position like I was talking about earlier to kind of like be able to aim your attacks really, really well. But the thing that they have on their combo ability is that they can spread elemental effects. So what happens is you lay down your primer and then you detonate it, and anything that primed effect has been, it'll actually spread to other enemies in the area of effect. So I personally like to use cold to kind of freeze enemies in place, But the great AoE damage output you could do with electricity and fire is not to be forgotten. You can clear out a lot of enemies with that, and especially if you've primed with electricity, oh my god, those shield guys that fly are such a big fucking pain. So whenever you see a storm and he's got some electricity damage in there, I'm like, thank you. You've made my life a little bit better. I appreciate it very much. Moving along, let's talk about the Colossus and their high AoE damage. If you like to get in the middle of fights and you just want to just set everything on fire with a flamethrower, you turn on that spark coil and it's just a combo, combo, combo. And you're like, oh wait, everything here is dead. Let me put up my shield and let me bum rush another group of enemies, set them on fire, and then turn on my spark coil, then combo, combo, combo. And it's just this amazing, like, fireworks display all around you wherever you go. And the thing about it is, I'm gonna be honest, I get a little risky with the Colossus sometimes, because I'm like, I'm rushing a group of enemies, and you know, my shields are taking a lot of damage, and I'm like, ooh, let's see what happens. And all of a sudden I whip out the flamethrower. So when you whip out the flamethrower, your shield comes down. So I'm taking damage, and I'm like, everything's on fire, spark coil. And I'm like, please spark coil, just kill everything so I can get some health pickups. But it's that weird kind of like risky behavior that leads to some really fun and satisfying combat. And then you just put your shield back up and you start smashing. Oh, it's just such a good day. So if you like lots of damage numbers everywhere and you like to clear out crowds, then definitely go with the Colossus and the Storm. Now, moving along from high AoE damage to high single target damage. If you like to be a little bit of an assassin, Interceptor and Ranger are going to be the way to go. And the big reason for that is when it comes to the Rangers, like I said earlier, their combos deal bonus damage to specific targets that they've triggered the combo on. But the reason that I point this out is because the Ranger does have a couple, actually I believe it's like one Toxin ability, but the Toxin ability is quite good. So as you guys know, the status effect for Acid is that it makes enemies more susceptible to other forms of damage. So that way you can weaken a target and then you can lay in some combo damage on them and really take out high priority targets. I know that clearing out crowds is really, really satisfying, and it almost feels a little bit underwhelming when you're like, oh, you killed everything, but I guess there's a heavy left for me to go ahead and take care of. But sometimes because of the high AoE damage, you don't really get a good amount of focus damage because of the fact that a Ranger really can focus their abilities and do really well with their combo damage. They can take out single targets a lot faster than some of the other Javelins out there. So definitely check out the Ranger if you want like a single target assassin. Now, of course, when we talk about assassins and we talk about acid damage, we have to talk about the Interceptor because they do get Venom Bomb, which sadly, I did not get to experience. I did not get to experience because it just didn't drop for me and it broke my heart, but I did have a lot of fun with Venom Spray. So Venom Spray, for those of you guys who've ever played Warframe, is very similar to like Saren's Miasma, where you go and you like breathe out and there's like all of this like acid that kind of goes around. It deals a lot of damage, so anything that's left over, number one, you've dealt a lot of damage to, and now they're more susceptible to following up with attacks. So great when you go ahead and do that with your melee, because what you can do is, number one, you can go ahead and weaken that target, deal a lot of damage to it, then go ahead and deal further damage to it, and also get an acid aura. So you get your acid aura and you're able to run around and weaken other targets with it as well. So it's absolutely fantastic when it comes to an Interceptor being able to chunk down specific targets. And also, I'm going to talk about the ultimate yet again. Fantastic, because of what you can do is, if you really need to do it, if you really need to almost kamikaze it, if there is something that you know you're gonna run into a room and you know that, you know, maybe there's like turrets or something that are gonna be a problem, or specific snipers that you really want to get out of the way ASAP, go ahead, run in, get as close as you can, activate your ultimate, eliminate that threat, and then get your ass back out before your ultimate runs out. It's a great way to kind of make things a little bit easier for the rest of your team, taking out high priority targets, and then boom, everything goes a little bit smoother, and hopefully you'll get more combos to kind of like toss up your ultimate yet again. So those are the different playstyles that I really wanted to focus on, and I wanted to kind of also make a note that Yes, other javelins can kind of fill some of these playstyles, and I'm sure that maybe in the future too we'll get a lot of different builds or bonus abilities that kind of change up the current playstyle of a specific javelin, but this is from my own personal experience and how I like to play the javelins. But I really do invite you guys to leave down in the comments below if there are any other playstyles that you want to address or you think I should have addressed, that you want to kind of say, hey, if you like playing like this, then go ahead and check it out. Toss that down in the comments below so we can go ahead and help out other people as well. But that about does it for me for now. And as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. Ooh, the preload is done on my computer, and we also have that trailer coming up on the 14th. Get excited, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.